So, are you pregnant or do you have a newborn baby? Maybe you're already struggling with body image and food. So, let's talk about pregnancy and postpartum issues. If you're struggling with an eating disorder or disordered eating, I'm Harriet Frew. This is the Eating Disorder Therapist podcast. I support people to overcome disordered eating and find peace with food. So, thank you for being here. Do check out my Food Freedom app if you're looking for more support. And do please excuse my croaky voice. It sounds a lot worse than it actually is. Okay, so I personally recovered from bulimia and I've had 3 babies myself. So I'm going to share my top tips for coping in pregnancy and postpartum. So let's dive in. Now, interestingly, this is a topic I haven't really discussed that much before, and I don't really know why. I have 3 children myself, and I have first-hand experience of going through 2 pregnancies and 2 postpartum periods. I had my daughter first time round, and then twin boys second time round. So 2 years apart, it was very intense and on all the fronts, basically. And pregnancy can be challenging because if you have body image struggles and food anxieties as well, if perhaps if you've previously used food or a focus on food as a means of coping, pregnancy and babies, as much as they're wonderful, they can bring change and life upheaval. So you can feel quite out of control. So you might want to almost use like focus on food and body as a way to control this uncontrollable situation. Now, sometimes as well, isolation or loneliness or a change in your body, a change in your identity, all things that happen when we have a baby. It's like readjusting from your previous relationships and, your identity perhaps from who you were before. So having a baby is a huge life transition. The pregnancy, the baby afterwards, it's truly wonderful, but it's also quite hard. Now, an eating disorders supposedly affect about 5 to 8% of pregnant women. Now, I think that's a stat I found, but I think it's probably a lot higher than this because so many people are undiagnosed. So many people as well struggle with body image issues and disordered eating. So I think it's much broader than that. And I think it's one thing to know that your body will change during pregnancy, but it's another thing to actually experience it and live through it. And of course, as well, there's societal pressures to look a certain way during and after pregnancy. Some women embrace the changes that come with pregnancy and birth, but for many, the changes can negatively shift their self-image. And there are some risks as well if you're really struggling. Body dissatisfaction during pregnancy can affect maternal and fetal health, prompting women to severely restrict their eating, or it can trigger a relapse of an eating disorder. And in May 2022, the Archives of Women's Mental Health published a study showing that 52% of pregnant participants and 56.2% of postpartum participants reported feeling dissatisfied with their body image. So pregnancy brings major physical changes that often trigger common fears, things like intense anxiety about weight gain, distress over stretch marks or skin changes, feeling physically unfamiliar with your body, feeling unappealing in your body, worrying about losing your pre-pregnancy identity, or worrying as well about returning to like the body that you were in before. So lots of those fears rise to the surface. You might fear a loss of control. You might fear irrational, rapid, unpredictable changes in your size and body shape. You might worry about feeling like an alien in your body, experience a disconnect where your reflection no longer feels like your own body. And then there's fears around physical and skin anxieties as well, maybe things like stretch marks, scarring, swelling and fluid retention, skin pigment shifts, all of these things. And then as well, all the societal and emotional pressures. So the unsolicited comments, feeling exposed or uncomfortable when strangers or family touch or critique your bump, then we can feel very, very exposed. Loss of attractiveness as well, worrying about feeling less desirable or invisible, perhaps to a partner. And also the social media comparisons, that pressure to maintain that small, perfect baby bump somehow modeled by these online ideals. So let's talk about some practical strategies to support you in pregnancy to feel so much better. So we're going to talk about pregnancy and also the early months of when you've got your new baby. Okay, so number one, let's just go straight in there with weight gain. So there is a challenge challenge, a natural challenge of dealing with a changing body, which can start early on in pregnancy. Now, pregnancy weight as well is often unpredictable. It doesn't follow that nice linear line that we all want, and it can feel, for someone that needs to be in control, it can feel scary. Now, and if you've experienced a lot of safety from monitoring your weight before, this can feel like a really uncontrollable situation. But I would just say, as much as you can, surrender to the process, surrender, surrender, surrender. Okay. There is no right or wrong amount of weight to gain. It varies so much. Some people don't seem to gain a lot of weight, others do gain a lot. Now, I know that in my pregnancies, I began gaining weight in the first trimester because I had really bad morning sickness. And truly, the only fix for this morning sickness was to eat something. And it sounds a bit paradoxical, but for anyone that's been through this, you will realize what it's like. And actually, eating something would also almost dampen down that nausea and you would feel better, at least temporarily. So, trying to restrict my eating would have meant I felt so sick and unwell in that early period. It was almost like just had to eat my way through it, really. And obviously, again, that's not the same for everybody, but that was me listening to my body. And also, my tastes and preferences in early pregnancy changed quite a lot. Now, normally, I quite like, good balanced variety. I like kind of Mediterranean diet. I like fruits and vegetables and all the things, as well as enjoying chocolate and cake and having the whole range of foods. But in early pregnancy, I definitely wanted beige food. I felt disgusted by vegetables and really not myself. And I went with the flow though, because this was a phase that passed. I think even by week 14 in my pregnancy, I was starting to feel so much better and to be able to tolerate more of the foods that I would normally eat. Now, body image issues can be even harder in the first trimester, I think, because it almost feels like, oh my God, I don't have permission to gain weight, because the baby's only a tiny little few cells and you feel like you don't have a bump, and that can be really tricky. So just to really validate that, that can be quite hard. Now, I definitely enjoyed my pregnancies much more once I had the bump. It felt real. I kind of embraced the maternity clothes, like the colours, flattering outfits. I quite enjoyed it all, actually. I really just got into the whole pregnancy, maternity, wardrobe, etc. Just embraced it, embraced the bump. I never actually displayed my bump, which some people do. I'm not saying any judgment there. Some people really enjoy that aspect and doing that, something I didn't do. I know for me, the third trimester was hard. Physically, you start to feel so tired. You really feel like you're going to pop. You're so exhausted from carrying around babies. But I would say with yourself, with all of this and what I did, is just do not weigh yourself because it's going to be massively triggering. It's a recipe for distress and it's so hard to really control. And it's a complete myth as well that you will never lose your pregnancy weight and things are going to unravel and everything's going to be terrible. I mean, it's a load of rubbish. I literally gained stones. I won't say the exact number, but it was multiple stones with each pregnancy. And particularly on my twin pregnancy, I just did not recognize my body. And people would actually come up to me and say, you are the most pregnant woman I've ever seen because my bump was so huge. So it wasn't the most comfortable body to be in. And I wasn't binge eating. I was mainly taking care of myself. I was eating well. I wasn't like massively emotionally eating, overeating during pregnancy. And post-pregnancy, I had a reasonably healthy relationship with food. And it took time for my body to recover, especially after the twin pregnancy, but it did. And I didn't crash diet or stress myself out over it. Um, I went with the flow. I allowed my body almost like, it's the 9 months up, isn't it? At least 9 months down, go with the flow. And particularly, like I breastfed all three of mine, and you get so hungry when you're breastfeeding. You can't really diet. You're not going to feel good in yourself at all. So I just really embraced it. And, like my children now are all young adults, and my body today is not massively different from how it was before my first pregnancy. I think I am, I mean, I know I am a few kilos heavier than I was like when I was 30. Um, but, I have lived a life and I'm now perimenopausal and all the things. But, I would definitely say that I don't feel I've let myself go, or I still feel like an attractive person who is embracing my body, who's taking care of it. and looking after myself. So, don't get sucked into all of this kind of, you're going to be like really mumsy and frumpy and your life is over. Um, and what about health providers and weight? So you don't need to know your weight if your health provider records it. And if you've had real issues with weight and control in the past, tell your health provider that you do not want to know your weight. Okay. And take your own needs seriously there. Okay. Validate yourself, get support. There's no shame in that. And yeah. And don't look as well at crazy celebs with a personal chef who are back in their jeans 1 week after birth. It is not helpful. Okay. Number two, ride the wave of the possible benefits of food and body image of the pregnancy period. Now, if you can, use pregnancy as a springboard to improve your relationship with food and body. Now, for some of my clients, it's almost permission to take better care of themselves than they ever have done before because they feel they can do it because it's for the baby. Now, this isn't true for everyone, so don't beat yourself up if you're not feeling like that. But if you do feel more like that, embrace it. Okay. I know one of my clients said, when I was pregnant, my disordered thoughts reduced to a whisper. I didn't have to force myself to eat, I just did. And being pregnant helped me to progress towards making peace with food in my body. During the first trimester, my diet mainly consisted of carbs because eating bread pasta was the only thing that stopped my morning sickness, as was true for me. In this way, I overcame my fear of carbs and sugar. So that was actually a really kind of helpful thing for that client there. Now, it won't be true for everyone. And if you're struggling in pregnancy or did struggle, there is no judgment here. We all have a different experience. So you might want to speak to your doctor or meet with a dietitian if you need extra support. Reach out and get that support. Okay, number three, talk openly with your healthcare professionals about previous eating issues so you can be supported in the best way. So one of my clients said, again, I haven't weighed myself in years since I've recovered from anorexia, and this continued through my pregnancy. I asked not to be weighed by the doctors and midwives, even though they were sometimes quite persistent. This definitely helped me cope with my changing body, nor have I weighed myself since giving birth. I appreciate that this may not be a suitable course of action for everyone. Safety of the baby is paramount, but open conversations are very helpful. Okay, so advocate for yourself. Healthcare providers still don't understand eating disorders and disordered eating as much as we would like them to, okay? And often they're doing the best they can, they just don't have all the awareness and the knowledge. So advocate for yourself, stand up for yourself, and take your needs seriously. Okay, number four, focus on everything your body is doing and has done and is doing for you and your baby. So your body is growing, and postpartum, you have grown a wonderful baby and a whole new organ, the placenta, and you brought this little baby into the world. So this means your body has done a lot of shifting and changing and growing to accommodate that new life. In addition, your body is now tasked with feeding the baby, healing from the birth, holding and carrying the baby, and doing all of that while getting very little sleep is a lot. So even still, it can be really hard to appreciate your body when you're feeling uncomfortable and self-conscious in your skin. So personally, I found pregnancy mainly quite empowering. It felt like this miraculous, wonderful thing to be growing a baby and babies. Other times, though, it did feel like hard work, and I really tried to hold that bigger picture. And I just missed my pre-pregnancy body. It is quite hard walking around with this ginormous bump. Nothing fits. You feel hot, you feel tired, you feel weary. It's quite labor intensive. And postpartum, I did struggle a bit with body image, and particularly after having my twins, it was a huge emotional and physical toll on the body. And my skin was stretched to ginormous proportions with my bump. I had this enormous bump because I had two babies that went to full term. I didn't have to have special care for them. I was so fortunate. But the downside of that was my skin was so, so stretched. I was ginormous. And I still have loose skin to this day, post babies. Now, after my first pregnancy, I didn't have loose skin, but when I had my twins, I think my skin was just stretched. But again, my amazing skin, it was so elastic, it stretched for them. So now I have this slightly burst balloon-like tummy. It's not my favorite part of my body. I couldn't really wear a bikini. Well, I could, but it doesn't look the most attractive. It does look a bit like I've had, like a balloon looks when it's burst, okay? But, I would rather have my rich, juicy life and my children. And it has improved. My sort of loose skin has improved significantly with just self-massage, exercise as well, strengthening my core. And when I've got my clothes on, no one knows I have loose skin. In fact, it's almost become a bit of a battle scar that I hold myself. I'm proud of it. It reminds me of what my body is capable of. So, I'm okay with it. I birthed 3 babies in 2 years and I breastfed all three. So a flat tummy is never going to give me that same reward. It's not. And now I have 3 children. I have 3 children from that. My body did an amazing job. So thank you, body. Now, it can feel, though, like a huge jump to go from not liking your body to loving it. So instead of striving for body positivity, it might feel much more manageable to aim for body neutrality, the place in between love and hate. And rather than focusing on feeling great about your appearance, try working on radically accepting a body that's different, neither good or bad, just different. Okay. Number 5, observe your negative body thoughts when they occur, then reframe them to give yourself grace and compassion. So this tip is a great exercise towards more body neutrality. By bringing awareness to your negative body thoughts, you're able to reframe these thoughts into neutral thoughts or even more appreciative thoughts. So maybe if you're thinking, oh, I hate my belly, it looks so awful, it's different since I've been pregnant. But you might just say, like, my belly is different now before I had a baby. But, actually, now I have my baby and I'm so grateful for this. And, again, just embracing more of that neutrality. And you think there's stretch marks on my hips, my belly is so gross. Instead, you could say, I'm thankful my body was able to stretch and change to allow me to carry my baby. So again, you don't have to be toxically positive, but you're just trying to be a bit kinder to yourself and just not to go down the rabbit holes of really negative thinking. Okay. So one of my clients said as well, my stomach had always been the focus of my body image problems, yet surprisingly, I enjoyed having a bump. And it seems as though my brain can cope with a distended stomach if it knows there's a baby in there. So she said as well that her stomach was so much smaller afterwards in comparison to the bump, not in comparison to pre-pregnancy. And she said, in a way, like, she was able to accept her stomach much more post-pregnancy because of that, because I'm always comparing it to the bump. And she said she reminds herself that she'd been pregnant, she had a baby, and her body isn't going to look the same or snap back to pre-pregnancy state, but in a way, so what? Okay. Number 6, don't force yourself into pre-pregnancy clothing. Gosh, at least not straight away. Wear clothes that are comfortable and fit. So don't keep trying on a pair of jeans that are only going to lead you down a self-punishing path. It's not going to help. Going up a clothing size has so much shame attached to it in our culture. But the truth is that wearing clothes that fit comfortably is a way to honor and respect your body. So do this. When you wear clothing that no longer fits and is uncomfortable, it draws your attention to the areas of your body that you may already be feeling insecure about, and it sends you further into a shame spiral. So don't hesitate to get clothing that fits your current body, or to continue to even wear your maternity clothing if you need to. The only person that needs to know the size of your clothing is you. Sizing up is not giving up or letting yourself go. It's choosing to treat your body with dignity, okay? When we're going around in just sort of sweatpants and just feeling like you're not looking after yourself. And getting new clothes doesn't have to be expensive. You can go to Vinted, clothing swaps, Facebook Marketplace, eBay, all the places, okay? So post-baby, it's not all downhill and becoming mumsy or whatever. Far from it. And since having babies, I've started strength training and building more muscle. And actually, I'm probably way stronger and in some ways a bit more shapely than pre-babies, a bit more toned or whatever. My weight is a bit higher than it was, and probably like half to one size, dress size bigger than I was pre-babies. But I'm also in perimenopause now, I'm a bit older, but I don't consider that I've let myself go and it's all downhill. I still feel I've got it. Okay, number 7, be conscious of how you deal with your body image. So body checking is a habit that many of us do without even noticing we're doing it. This is a practice of constantly looking at your reflection when you pass a large window, lifting your shirt to look at your belly, maybe weighing yourself every morning, constantly pulling and making sure your clothes, your skin, etc. So making an effort to stop this habit when you notice that you're doing it will go a long way towards your attention being taken off your appearance. It's hard to feel negatively about something you're not thinking about constantly and looking at. So I always say this, what you focus on expands. If I had a spider phobia and I start looking for spiders, I would start to see spiders everywhere. So stop body checking, get rid of the scale, put it out of sight. Do things that you would normally do in the bathroom, like brushing your teeth or hair. Avoid the mirror for body checking. Wear clothes that you like and feel good in, so you're not fussing about them. And when you walk past reflective surfaces, stop looking all the time at your body for evidence of it not being as you want it, because it's not going to help. Okay. Now, I haven't really weighed myself in years, from, recovering from an eating disorder. I do weigh myself occasionally, but it's more like a kind of random sort of check-in. And in a way, it's proof to me in a way that, I don't know, I can trust myself. I don't need to keep weighing myself. I weigh myself once a year and my weight's pretty stable. Peace and love. I'm happy with that. Okay. Number 8, self-care, 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 self-care. Okay. When you're a mum, you can often neglect your sleep. It's really hard to get sleep, neglect your food, neglect your hydration, all of these things. And it's so hard for your body to function optimally if you're not looking after your basic needs. So you need to listen to your basic needs and really try and prioritize sleep. Maybe start taking naps in the day. Do what you need to do because it can be exhausting with a newborn. Maybe also as well, make sure that you're hydrating yourself. Okay, number 9, eating regularly, honor your body by eating foods and moving in a way that makes you feel good. So when you're feeling negative about your body, it can be really easy to think you need to restrict your foods, only eat low calorie foods, all the things. And also you might feel that you want to do punishing workouts or push yourself. When you're breastfeeding, when you're recovering from birth, these are not things you want to do. So instead of restricting foods, give yourself a regular eating plan. Okay, so you're eating regularly, so you have some safety. Allow all the foods you're able to eat in moderation, listening to hunger and fullness. Do not restrict. I remember when I was breastfeeding, I felt so hungry sometimes, just absolutely like the extreme hunger you experience in recovery. See, but you need to honor that, it's like takes a lot of energy. And when it comes to exercise, often like walking can just be your best friend. It's really great to get out, get some walking in, do a few steps. Again, not obsessively, but it might take time to get back to the gym and to get back into a routine. Maybe if you were training pre-pregnancy, that might be easier to get back into. I know for me, I didn't get into strength training until my children were almost at secondary school. So I didn't really have that to fall back into. I mainly walked, did an occasional run when my children were little. And particularly after I'd had the twins, it was really like a slug's walk round the field. Okay. So my client says here as well, I still struggle with body image, especially since I had a traumatic birth with an emergency C-section. So apart from my C-section, I also had pre and post eclampsia, which meant I was in hospital for 2 weeks and couldn't walk for a long time. And I was only able to return to the gym 5 months after giving birth. So during pregnancy, I continued to go to the gym and walking until 8 months, which helped to manage my anxiety around weight gain and body image. And after giving birth, I reminded myself that my body had gone through major surgery and a life-threatening illness, so to be kind to myself. And I now go for walks with the pram and I'm back to the gym twice a week. So again, you've got to really work with your own body. Okay. Number 10, be aware of social media usage. Don't follow idealized, perfected, mothering accounts. Go for the real deal with people talking about honest motherhood if you want to follow it. And there's so much attention about getting the right amount of weight gained in pregnancy, losing it afterwards. And social media doesn't help with all of that. So just be so careful about what you're looking at. And remember, celebrities have personal trainers, chefs, highly curated Instagram feeds. So that's not really real life, okay? So yeah, don't worry about that. Worry about spending time with your baby and that bonding and all of those other things. So much more important. Number 11, relationships. Have support around you. Do not isolate yourself as a mother because it can be really hard. And have support around you that helps, because I think family support can be invaluable, but for some people, their family support is not so helpful and can feel a bit intrusive. So I guess again, notice what is helpful support for you. Now, for me, the National Childbirth Trust was really helpful as a valuable source of support. It's a great way in the UK to meet with other parents and to bond. So through pregnancy, like my first pregnancy, I attended these monthly meetings, we bonded with the other parents, talked through birth, practical tips, got some, it was also helpful. We really bonded as a group. And then they put you with other mothers who were all about to give birth around the same time. So we were matched together. So literally within our National Childbirth Trust group, there were 6 of us who all had babies within about 4 weeks, and then you're all on this journey together. And for the first year, that was amazing having the support of those other women, because as well, when you have a new baby, not everyone wants to talk about the minutiae of lack of sleep and exhaustion and breastfeeding and bottle feeding and what to do and all the things. But if you have people around you who are in the exact same place, you've got people that you can talk to about it, and it just really normalizes things. So that was so helpful. And I would even say that's one of the most important things, relationships and getting support. Number 12, have purpose or something for yourself outside the home. Now, I had 9 months maternity leave with each pregnancy. I was able to return to my job in the National Health Adult Eating Disorder Service, where I worked about 2 days a week. I think after the twins, I was literally doing like 10 hours because it just wasn't very practical, and they didn't settle very well at nursery and all kinds of things. But I managed to keep my hand in just a bit. And it enabled me to socialize with other adults, have a purpose and meaning outside of my babies. But I guess this could be achieved as well. Like if you don't have a fulfilling job, you could achieve that through a hobby, a date night, anything with other adults, where you can be a bit of your pre-baby self again, at least for a short period every week. I think this is really important, so important, because it can be quite isolating as a mother. Okay, and number 13 is just zoom out, see the bigger picture, focus on your values, what is really important right now. I mean, sort of thinking about me talking about my like loose skin and the bigger picture of the fact that I have my children and actually the enrichment I have in my life from all of that compared to the changes in my body is far greater. To try to be yourself as a whole rather than just body parts. Think of how you see your friends and family members. When you look at them, you're not simply noticing their belly or their legs. You see them as a whole. So really keep that focus on your bigger values and what's important. Having a baby, having had a baby, rather than focusing on physical aesthetics, appreciate what your body can do. Your body has grown a human. The biggest change now is that you have something bigger than yourself to focus on, your miracle baby, okay? And remember that your body is just part of the bigger picture of life. Yes, you want to self-care. Yes, you want to feel attractive and put kindness and care and value into your appearance, but your body is just part of the bigger picture of life. It's the vessel that moves you through. Your purpose here is to create, to experience life, to form wonderful relationships. It's not just to look perfect and to shrink yourself to some crazy aesthetic. So hold that bigger picture and think about, what does a big juicy life look like for you? Okay, I hope you found this helpful. What do you think? Do share in the comments your own ways of managing pregnancy and the early months for the newborn. How have you coped? I would love to hear. Thank you so much for listening and watching the Eating Disorder Therapist podcast. Do subscribe on YouTube for more videos. Do follow, rate, and review if you're listening. And do check out my Food Freedom app if you're looking for more support. And I look forward to sharing another episode with you very soon. Thanks so much for listening, and bye for now.